Hello, my name is Carl, and today I'll be talking about Mario Tennis Aces. This game was developed by Camelot and published by Nintendo for the Switch on June 22nd, 2018, and it'll run you $59.99 even today after all these years. It is rated E for everyone for mild cartoon violence and is the latest in a long line of Mario Tennis games, this time featuring a fancy power meter system and different mechanics that deal with that power meter. So, this essentially it's a Mario sports game of tennis. Surprise, surprise. This time the story revolves around Wario and Waluigi stealing an evil racket named Lucian, who eventually possesses Wario, Waluigi, and Luigi. And then there's this kind of race against time where Mario, with Toad in tow, goes on a journey to collect the five power stones that have Lucian's evil power sealed away in them, to try to get them before Lucian does, so that Lucian doesn't power up and I don't know, ruin the spirit of tennis forever. Whatever. So, in any case, diving in, my history and anticipation of this game. I do not care a lot about the Mario sports games, especially tennis. Um, I didn't really care about Mario Tennis Aces, but hey, it was a Nintendo game, so I purchased it. So yeah, let's just dive into the review. Gameplay wise, it's normal tennis mostly. There's normal tennis rules, so if you've ever played tennis, you know how the scoring works and how the all that. And there's nothing fancy in that regard. If you're familiar with older Mario Tennis games, you move, you hit the ball, you can manipulate spin on the ball to do curve shots, lobs, sink shots, whatever they call it, that sort of thing. The fancy part here is that there is now a power meter. You can either use up the power meter to run more quickly to go get the ball, or if you manage to save it up, you can use it to do a zone shot where you can pick specifically where on the court you want to send the ball. And the catch is there, if your opponent attempts to return the shot and they don't time it exactly right, it will damage their racket. And if the racket takes too much damage, it'll break. And if all three of a character's rackets breaks, since you don't have any more rackets, you forfeit the game by default and you lose, which is kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. The concept that you can win, you can be losing the entire game and win by um, destroying all of your opponent's rackets such that they cannot participate anymore. Um, so what this ends up setting up is this kind of interesting system of back and forth in a match where you have to sit there and manage your power zone, and the conundrum in your head, or your power meter, the conundrum in your head is, okay, do I use my zone speed to go get the ball so I can continue the rally, or do I just let the ball go, take the hit, lose the point, and save my zone speed for later? um, do I bother trying to block the zone shot and risk damaging my racket, or do I just let it go? When you're using a zone shot, do you try to call your opponent's bluff and go right towards them so that they break their racket, or do you try to launch it somewhere where they would have no chance to go get it? And also, if you're familiar at all with tennis, um, basically it's 4 or 5 points, I forget, 15, 30, 40 game. 4 points to win a game. Best 2 out of 3 games wins a set. Best 2 out of 3 sets wins a full match if you're playing a full match. And that's how it works in real tennis. So it's all best of 3. So you can afford to lose one and still win the game. So the question you got to ask yourself is, okay, my power meter is conserved across games and sets. So do I let someone win let someone destroy me in a set so that I can save my power meter and maybe win the next set or in a game or whatever. So it's like this interesting like power meter, like multiple rounds type thing. Reminded me of Pokemon Tournament, saving your special meter over the best of 3 games. So that's nice in and of itself. It puts a nice spin on the ball, haha, if you will. Um, and bring some unique mechanics to an otherwise stale. It's tennis, right? Um, of course. So on to like player versus player. I did not play a lot of PvP here. There was there was a pre-release like global test thing where you could enter into a tournament, and if you participated, you got like a normal Mario outfit to costume to use on Mario. So I did play some people in that one. Um, there was For the most part it was fun and I enjoyed myself, but I did have one gripe. I went against someone who was really good, and there's a technique in the game called a trick shot where your character does a jump or a shuffle or a moonwalk or whatever over to another space, and it has a set distance, and if you manage to time it right, you can jump to the ball and with no power meter, and then hit the ball back. And if you're good enough to do that, it gives you power meter. So normally what you'd have to do is use your zone speed, your power meter to power your zone speed, and run to get the ball and waste your zone speed. But if you're good at doing trick shots, something that you can't prevent your opponent from being good at doing trick shots, they can just go and do a trick shot and gain zone meter. So I started playing someone where I was hitting the ball away from them, like I was doing what you're supposed to do and placing the ball away from them, but instead of forcing them to burn their zone speed, all it did was allow them to manipulate or abuse trick shots to gain a bunch of zone power meter. Which, if I just hit it directly at them, they wouldn't have been able to use trick shots because trick shots make you move. So I was kind of like, okay, well, shoot. But yeah, so that's what I think. It's got some nice, innovative mechanics to help keep the game fresh, even though there's been like a bajillion. I want to say like at least four other Mario Tennis games. I want to say. But yeah, onto the story. As I mentioned before, there's this evil Racket trying to regain his power from the Five Stones. Mario's trying to get to them first so he can keep them away from the evil Racket Lucian. The setting is on this like island or this archipelago, like this nation where tennis is king, and everybody plays tennis, and tennis is the big thing. Tennis is like the ruler of the land. That blah 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 blah. But what I did find funny about um, the story mode is that everyone, of course, requires you to play tennis or some tennis derivative in order to proceed because it's a tennis game. Like the point of the story mode is to help you practice your skills in these different scenarios. But everyone is like very much self-aware about how silly it is that in order to proceed throughout the game, you have to hit a tennis ball with a tennis racket or play tennis. Like there's one Koopa early on that says something like, and but I'll let you pass if you can, you guessed it, beat me at a game of tennis. So yeah, everything is tennis, obviously, but I do like, it's kind of whimsical in that, they know that it's a stupid story mode, that the story doesn't matter, and it's just there to teach you how to play the game. So they're not taking themselves too seriously. So overall, while it's not like deep or anything, it was surprisingly engaging, like with like little quick quips and quirky lines here and there. I think because it was like shallow and didn't take itself seriously, it kind of allowed me to laugh along with how dumb it was. And a little give you a little pinch of what happens in the end. No spoilers, but in the end, there's this one doubles match that I enjoyed winning a lot. Probably more than I should have, given that it's a Mario Tennis game. But I was like getting into it, man. I enjoyed that. But yeah, on to the graphics and art style. I don't have a lot to say about the graphics and art style. Like, it's what you would expect. It's a Switch game. It has fine enough graphics. Nintendo, Camelot did a good job with making it look fancy. Everybody's in tennis outfits, like with visors and stuff and shorts and all that. I so I enjoyed how the cast of characters had a different, outfits, as well as the big cast of characters. You know, there's random uh characters where you think it would work, like Chain Chomp, this big old ball with a tennis racket sticking out of its the side of its mouth, hitting tennis balls back and forth. That was a little silly, but hey, you know, why not? You know, Mario's got so many different characters. Why not just take every opportunity to shove them in every game and every time? Um, I will say this about the art style: there was something cool I noticed in with the rackets in the main story. You got a bunch of different rackets in the main story, and there was like a wooden racket, but it had like a bunch of gears turning inside it. That looked cool. There was an ice racket. It was made out of like a snowflake and like kind of hexagonally shaped. There's a Koopa shell racket made out of like what looked like a flattened Koopa shell. Um, there was a fire racket that was kind of lame though. It was just a regular racket that just kind of flamed a bit. You know, it wasn't made out of fire. I wanted to be made out of fire, but it wasn't. But yeah, on to the music. I say this almost every time. I'm not a big music guy. Um, so there's not much for me to say about them. I do like the main theme. Like you fire the game up and it goes dum bum 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 bum, and it's like this very powerful, like invigorating, like we're heading out on the court and play a really important match. That sort of thing. Um, and I do like the sound design of someone's racket breaking. It's this really satisfying like thing. It's like but more powerful, and like if you break someone's racket, it shows like multiple angles and replays it. And you see like the racket just snap off right at the neck there. So that's cool. DLC wise, there's no DLC that I know of. The only like I think you know that there was free DLC I want to say, um, for like just new characters and stuff, and there was also like the little DLC you get for participating in like the global test. But overall, there was um no paid DLC that I know of. But yeah, so on to my conclusion. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised for a Mario Tennis game, but at the end of the day, it's still just a Mario Tennis game, you know. Uh, I like the story and I like the broadcast of characters playable. Um, but if you have no desire to play Mario Tennis, then there's no reason for you to play this game, really. Unfortunately, games like this, like Mario sports games, really have a hard time like carving their own niche inside like the greater pantheon of gaming. You know, you don't think, "Oh man, what a the pinnacle of game design Mario Tennis Aces was," or whatever. It's more like, "Oh, if you're a fan of that sport or playing those games, you'll get it." So yeah, I think a 7. I'm feeling a solid 7 on this one. It's not awesome, but for a Mario Tennis game, I was pleasantly surprised. But yeah, other than that, that's my thoughts on Mario Tennis Aces. If you have something you agree with, disagree with, if you have comments, questions, concerns, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I read all my comments. Other than that, stay safe out there, folks, and have a good one. Bye.